Here we go. Okay, so today I have a block. If you have a block, great. If you don't have a block and you have like maybe two thick books you could stack, you want to get to about this like 6-inch height. Less is okay. I think 6 inches or so is like a good, like sturdy place, like maybe less than your handprint. I feel like I'm disappearing back here, but that's about what this size is. We're gonna do some neck smooshies, um, and you're also gonna need to come near a wall at some point. We will use that a little bit to get into the shoulders. We're gonna do a lot of neck and shoulder stuff. Um, I've had a really stiff neck and shoulder. Well, I had one like stiff neck and shoulders over the weekend, and I was just like, this never happens to me. But like that's not the reality, of course, because it was happening to be that big. So I had to start to work it out. I did some of this stuff yesterday and it felt great, so I'm excited to continue it again. And I've been talking probably ad nauseum at this point about like thematically lately, we've been really working into this idea of really being present with what is. And I got the best book that I've been reading. It's called A Gentleman in Moscow. It's by Amor Towles. He's written some really beautiful novels. This one is about this man in Russia who used to be in the Russian nobility, and when there was the overthrow in the early 20th century, he ended up being placed essentially under house arrest in this hotel where he was living. And he went from having all of these like titles and grandeur into just being like this guy who lives in the hotel. And it works out pretty well. I'm interested in the way that this happens, so that he doesn't have any like needs or whatever. Like he has a smaller room than he used to, but he just lives there, has all his needs taken care of. He essentially still does live like a nobleman, but he just can't leave the hotel. And the reason I say all this is that it's really cool to watch his character be so accepting of this reality. And not only just say, oh, this is how it is, and get super depressed about it, but to really find peace, and more than peace, but to find purpose in that moment. He's really into hospitality and being in the restaurants all the time, and then you find him a ways through the book, all of a sudden he's the head of the waiting staff in the restaurant. And I would think, like, especially at that time, can you imagine being somebody who used to be an aristocrat, then to be doing this menial labor sort of thing, to be a servant and to find joy in being a servant? Like, he really likes what he does, he's good at it. And it's just such a nice reminder that when we are truly immersed into the reality of our situation, if we are able to find contentment and purpose in our situation, that's really what we're after, right? Because he's never getting out of that hotel, and he might as well learn to enjoy his days. We're never getting out of this body. We're never, at least in this moment right here, this is where we are, this is where we should be, and can we find that santosha, that contentment in this place? So take your index finger and thumb together. We'll start with our face brushing, going from the center of the forehead outwards towards the temples. And going from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And from the temples down to your chin, tracing the bottom edge of your face. And from the sides of your nose down to your chin, along the laugh lines. May we be finding a way to deepen those and utilize them no matter our circumstances. And then massaging underneath and behind your ears, feeling for that soft spot and the bony spot above it. And as you start to work into that place, already starting to feel that lift into the spine from that point. Taking another big breath in where you're at. Staying as lifted as you can as you relax your hands down into your lap. Start to get into your breath, examining where you're at right now, how you're feeling, where your brain's going, where your body is at today. Take a nice big breath in through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. And then we're gonna release 3 ohms together. Taking a big breath in. I'm going to take your left arm, go ahead and reach it out to your left side and relax your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Soften your chin down slightly. Take a breath in here. And then on your exhale, relax your nose down towards your shoulder. Keep reaching the fingertips. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, relaxing your chin down to your chest, lift it up, release your arm down into your lap. And then switching sides, reaching the right arm out and dropping your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Stay there as you breathe in. And on your exhale, rolling your nose down towards your shoulder. Another breath in where you're at. And then releasing your chin down to your chest as you exhale, release your arm down, and then go ahead and lift your head up. Do a little bit of eye work. You're gonna keep your head steady and turn your eyes over towards your right side and your left side. Just keep moving your eyes side to side. And probably your awareness is just going like flashing side to side, yeah? See if you can start looking at everything in between. So you're really observing like the corners of the space in front of you. See my coat hanging on the wall. Trying to catch the in-between points. And then take your eyes up, and your eyes down, and up, and down. And then see if you can scan all the way up and down. I realize this is probably, you're not seeing anything on the video, that's fine, because you're doing this. Just weird things with your eyes. And then after you take that last travel down towards the floor, just blink your eyes a couple of times quickly to kind of clear that out. And then you might feel a little bit tense in the back of the head, like using our eyes really gets into that occipital lobe in the brain. So just gonna relax your chin down to your chest real quick. Try to keep your shoulders down and back, just nice and easy. Take a breath in. Let something soften when you exhale. And then again, big breath in. Softening when you exhale, and then gently bring your head back up. So this block that I've got here, or this little stack of books that might be about 6 inches tall, or whatever object that might be, having a flat edge, like so, you're gonna grab that, and we're gonna do neck smooshies. You're gonna rest your head here, and the part of your head that you're gonna rest is gonna be your occipital ridge. So it's right there in the back of your skull. There's those ropey parts in your neck where they come into the back of your head, and there's that crater right at the bottom of your skull, right at the top of those ropey parts. That's where you're going to be bringing the edge of the block. And just let your legs be nice and easy. You're going to rest your head back against this and very slowly turn your head side to side, slowly massaging that back of the head. And when you hit a spot that your body's like, oh yeah, that's really getting into something, you can stay there for a little bit. And to kind of stay for a little bit of time on one side or the other. And after you've worked some of that out, start to settle in the center if you haven't already. Just take a big breath in. Feel some softness as you exhale. And one more time, big breath in. Feeling a softness, a giving over as you breathe out. Then you're going to take your head, go ahead and lift it up a little bit. You're going to move that block like an inch or two closer to your shoulders. Honestly, I'm probably only going in maybe an inch. It's a little bit more in the ropey part of your neck and less on the skull. Just give another little small movement side to side. I'm moving less here because it's much more tender tissue. When you feel like you're probably sort of even out, come back to the center, see if you can relax something as you exhale. And then you're going to take your head, just pick it up, set your block off to the side, and go ahead and lay yourself down. Reaching your arms up and back behind you. Stretching your legs out long on the mat. Take a big breath in, feel yourself getting very full. And as you exhale, let it all go. And then widen your arms out a little bit wider than the shoulders. Widen your feet out a little bit wider than your hips. And take your right ankle, put it on your left knee. See if you can keep relaxing your right hip towards the floor, even though it might not be exactly as weighted as the other side. Take your right hand over to the left hand and hold onto your right wrist with your left hand. Stretching a little bit longer through this side body. It's okay if your elbows are bent. If the inside of your right shoulder starts to feel kind of crowded, see if you can soften it. Big breath in. Big breath out. And bring the right arm out wide again and the right leg out wide. Noticing the difference in between as you start to take your left ankle over onto your right ankle and the left arm goes over so you can hold onto it on the right side. Releasing your left hip downwards even if it doesn't actually go downwards. And thinking of softness on the inside of your left shoulder so maybe you can extend out longer through that outward side of the body. One more exhale. And then release the arms, release the legs. Stretch out in all directions, feel yourself belly up again. And on your exhale, let it all go. You're going to start tucking the knees up into your chest, walking them in, holding on, giving yourself a little rock side to side. Then taking the arms out wide, roll your knees over towards the right, coming into one of our first twists. And here, push into the back of your right arm. Really give yourself an opportunity to open that left shoulder. You might feel best looking over towards your left hand, but maybe look over towards your right hand this time. This really doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel right, keep looking upwards or over towards your left hand, but I kind of like this space to give a nice soft opening, an additional soft opening to the front of the left chest. Just one more nice full breath in and out. And then start to bring your knees up. And you're going to bring your head back up. Roll your knees over towards the left side, push into the back of your left arm to open the right shoulder, and then you might look over towards your right hand, or you could look over towards your left hand. Usually we look over towards the open hand because we're trying to really wring out the spine and get a deep twist, but looking over towards the left might actually help to open the chest a little bit more. It's a little different intention. One more exhale. And then looking up, bringing the knees up, draw it in, rock around a little bit. Go ahead and set your feet down onto the floor. You're going to leave the left leg down, take your right leg up in the air and make some circles around with your toes, seeing if you can move your toes around, stretch them, flex them, and then move the toes around in the other direction. And make your leg as straight as possible. So you're going to do it without touching it if you can. It might be a little bit harder. 2 hips are down, the foot presses out. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then bend the knee, put your right ankle on your knee. Now you have this thing you can put back behind your head if your neck gets tense when you reach up to grab onto your legs. So you have that option, or you could just leave your head down and not put anything underneath it if that feels just fine to you and you don't want to complicate things further. Try to keep your right leg flexed, your right foot flexed, your left foot soft, and your shoulders soft. One more breath in. Deep breath out. And start to release your left foot down and then your right leg down. And take your left leg up, starting to draw some circles with just your toes, feeling the snap, crackle, pop perhaps. Rolling in the other direction. And making the leg as straight as possible, flexing the toes back to your face, flexing this muscle right up above the knee. Might be a little shaky even. Big breath in. Stay there as you exhale. And then bend the knee, put your ankle on your right knee. You can stay here or reach around and hold on to the right leg. Make the left foot strong, the right leg relaxed, the shoulders, the collarbones, the eyebrows all relaxing. One more exhale. And then release your right foot down and your left foot down. Just coming back into this neutral place. One more thing on our backs, you're going to slide your right foot into that little hole underneath your left leg. Try to bring the knee down, roll over to the hip as much as you need. If you can wiggle your right knee closer to your left foot to get more stretch, great. If you're already at your max, then you stay, of course, just right there, feeling that stretch. You can hold onto your right foot if it's available to you, and then take your right arm back behind your head. I like to kind of prop my head up on my forearm here. If you've got some space and you want to wiggle your head and your elbow over towards the left a little bit more, you can do that. Keep trying to relax your inner right shoulder. One more breath. Then releasing your arm from behind your head. Slide that right leg out from underneath you. Bring your left foot underneath. You're going to kind of catch it with your right foot. You can wiggle your knee over closer towards your right foot. Maybe you catch the foot with the hand. Maybe your left arm comes behind you. You lay back on your forearm. Maybe even draw the elbow and the head more over towards the right. You want your left knee down more than you want your hips to be even, but also releasing the hips with time, because as more space opens, if you want to move into that space, that's where we do it. One more exhale. Then releasing your arm, unwinding your leg, coming back to the center. Just go ahead and knock your knees in against each other. Notice if you need to wiggle anything out to become a little bit more soft in the back. Just hanging out in the center here for a moment. Coming back to the breath. And you're going to roll over onto your belly and come onto your forearms. So come into Sphinx pose. You want your elbows stacked in underneath your shoulders. So you've got the stacking of your arm bones, and it shouldn't feel like it's too hard. Like it shouldn't be too much effort to prop yourself up in this way. Widen your legs if your lower back is feeling tense. Turn your heels in if you need it to keep the lower back a little softer. Try to draw your collarbones as open as possible, pushing down in your forearms, maybe getting a little bit more open space in your chest. And keep the chest open as you release your chin down towards it. So hopefully those shoulders didn't fall in at all, but you might be surprised what really happens when you lift your head back up and then say like, okay, I open my shoulders more. And you're like, oh man, they still did creep in a little bit. And then take your head and look up. But it seems like it would be easier to keep the chest open when we make this shift. But then when you look back forward again, it's like, oh man, I lost some space and there's a little bit more room to open it up. And that's just what happens in the body. To acknowledge that there are these shifts even when we're trying so stinking hard not to let them happen. So keep both sides of the chest as open as you can. Look over your right shoulder. You might even think of opening the left collarbone a little bit more than you thought. And then look forward again. I notice even my right shoulder could open up a little bit more now. And then you'll look over towards your left. Maybe you think of, okay, right shoulder, stay open, stay flush and wide. And bring your gaze back to the front. See if you can open that chest a little bit more. Again, one more time. Drop your chin down towards your chest. Really give your head permission to relax while still trying to keep your chest open. And then take your head up, open your chest, big inhale. And then go ahead and lower down, widen those elbows. Go ahead and make a pillow for your forehead or your cheek to rest on with your hands. And if your legs have been real wide, maybe you can bring them a little bit narrower, coming back to slightly more parallel legs. We're going to go up into one cobra pose for a moment. We'll come back down here. Bring your elbows in by your rib cage, your hands in by your rib cage, and then let your heart slide forward to cobra pose. Just one more breath in. Exhale, lower down. Then lift your belly, maybe lift your hips, push yourself up. And come into hands and knees, into tabletop pose. We do a couple of cat and cow. Inhale, looking up, lifting your tailbone, drop that belly down. Exhale, curl everything inwards, open up the back. Move through that a few more times on your own. If your body's really asking for some side-to-side movements, you could go there as well. Following the breath, loosening up the back. Come towards a more neutral spine. You're going to walk your hands out in front of you, coming into puppy dog pose. See if you can rest your forehead down. If you need to put that block underneath your forehead so that you can rest it somewhere, if the floor seems like it's a long ways away, go ahead and do that. You can leave your arms extended. You could bring your hands in closer to you for more support. Or if you're feeling real frisky, bring your palms together and try to tuck the thumbs into the back of your head. It's going to be a little bit deeper shoulder work, so just deciding exactly how much you're into today. Hips still reaching up and back behind you. Then releasing your arms. Start walking your hands back in towards you. We're going to take this long space, leaning the heart forward over the thumbs, and then lower all the way down onto your belly as slow as you like. Wiggle your legs back. And then make a pillow for your forehead again. See if you can put your forehead onto your forearms. You need to adjust, that's fine, but maybe you can stay just flat like so. And you're going to take your right heel and tuck it in towards your tush. And you're going to keep the heel tucked in towards your bum as you lift the right thigh off the ground and then extend the leg out long behind you, trying to keep it lifted. And then lower it down. And then tuck your left heel in towards your tush, lift the left thigh, and extend the left leg, keeping it lifted, and lower it down. And then notice what happened in your shoulders. Try to allow that to soften. One more time on each side. Right heel up towards the hip. Right leg lifts. And then right leg extends, staying lifted or maybe lifting higher. And then lowering down. Inhale, tuck the heel up towards the hip, left side. Exhale, float the thigh off the ground. Inhale, extend that leg, reaching it long. Exhale, lower. And then try both legs. Turn your heels up towards your hips. Draw the belly in. Exhale, lift those thighs up. Inhale, extend those legs, reaching the back behind you. And then lower the legs down. Give a little wiggle to your head and your shoulders, finding some softness there. And then sliding your hands in by your lower ribs, but maybe just a little bit wider, just to make sure we're not getting too tense in the back or too tense in the shoulders. You're going to come up into cobra pose, slither your heart forward, feel the collarbones broaden. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen the legs back behind you, using all of those back of leg muscles we were toning before. Exhale. Maybe you come up onto fingertips or lift your hands. One more inhale. Exhale, lower down. We're going to press up and back to child's pose. Maybe you lift your hips and your belly first, which just makes it a little bit harder, so you don't have to make it harder. Just a way to make a transition to challenge yourself. Snuggle those hips back by your heels. Bring your arms to a place that is comfortable to you. Rest your forehead. Put a block underneath it if it does not rest easily on the mat. One more breath out. And start to lift yourself up. We're going to come into downward facing dog. We'll go to standing afterwards. If you don't want to be in down dog for as long as I suggest, go for standing. Try to spread out those fingertips, push the floor away, and then lift your hips up and back. Find a place where you can relax your head. See if you can lift your heels up so your hips get a little bit higher. And then see if you can feel that same length upwards in your hips as you slowly release those heels back down towards the floor. And then look forward, bring your feet up to your hands. Bending your knees if you like. You can catch opposing elbows for a moment. Maybe try to shake something out gently. And then we'll roll up to standing. Let the head come up last, nice and soft through your neck. adjust pants. And then take your left leg back. We're gonna come into warrior one, right leg forward. And put your hands in your imaginary back pockets here. And just let your elbows pull back and your chest lean forward. Notice if your right hip has a tendency to go out to the side, see if you can tuck it back a little bit more. One more exhale. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Get a little bit of a back bend going on in this, a little bit of a heart opening with all of that work with the shoulders drawing back. Get a little taller, breathe in. Catch onto your wrist, give a little side bend up and over towards the right side, so over your front leg. On your inhale, come back to the center. This is a little harder. Try not to let your hips follow. You're going to take your right arm up and over towards the left. And come up to the center. Release your arms. Lean forward. Bring your hands to your chest. See if you can step your back foot up. You can take a couple of steps, maybe a little prep. So you're going to step up, just brief visit to chair pose, find 2 feet, and then stand up. And then the other side, warrior one. So left leg forward, right leg back. Make sure that you don't have the legs crossed, then take the hands into your imaginary back pockets. Feel the lifting of the chest forward, the broadening of the collarbones, maybe your gaze starts to float upwards. Notice the tendency to lean over in the left hip and instead draw it inwards so that you're a little bit more balanced in the hips. Even though it's an unbalanced place in the body, just being with what it is. And staying lifted in your chest as you reach the arms up. A little bit of a back bend in your warrior one. More than back bendy though, always thinking heart opening. Heart lifting, expanding. Expanding in the whole body from that place. Big breath in. And then finding a little side bend, holding onto your right wrist, reaching it up and over towards the left so that opposition will be a little bit easier to balance in generally. A little bit harder to keep it steady in the reach up and over towards the right, but trying to keep that left hip pulling back. And then coming up to the center, bringing your hands to your heart, leaning forward. So you're going to bring your right foot forward. You can do a little preparatory step up. Just finding chair pose, 2 feet, rest the hips back, and then straighten the legs. Stand on up. And then once you're done, just go ahead and drop your hands down. We're going to take them behind our back, interlace your fingers. I'll mirror you. Take your hands to the left side of your waist, and then lift the fronts of your hips. So you're gently drawing in the belly, and you're going to draw the elbows back, releasing your ear towards your left shoulder. On your exhale, releasing your nose down towards your shoulder. Try to relax your left shoulder downwards again. And then on your next exhale, relax the chin down, release the arms for a moment, and start to slide them over to the other side. Once you get there, take that little lift into the fronts of your hips, elbows and chest drawing back, or shoulders drawing back. Ear drops over towards the right shoulder. Take a breath in. Exhale, relax your nose down towards your shoulders. See if you have the freedom to soften that right shoulder back still. On your next exhale, whenever you get to it, relax your chin down and then release your arms. Unwind them. And then swing your arms front and back a little bit. Just loosening that up. We're going to do another big chest opener and a wide-legged forward fold. So step your feet out real wide on your mat. Toes face forward. Hands can be at your hips, opening like so, or you can bend your elbows with your hands interlaced behind your back. Try to keep your elbows bent as you come forward. If that feels fine, stay there. If you want to keep your hands at your back, great. Keep those elbows pulling back. If you would like to lift the elbows up, great. If you would like to straighten the elbows from here, great. Notice if the shoulders have a tendency to roll forward, and see if you can broaden the shoulders, even if that means you bend your elbows again to make that happen. One more breath out. And then release your hands to your hips, little bend in the knees, lift your heart and your belly and everything all the way back up. And then bring your feet in towards each other. We're going to do a little bit of wall work now. So come to a space where you're going to be able to stand about a foot away from the wall. You're gonna need a space on the wall that's just above your shoulder, where you're gonna put your hand in. I am disappearing back here. There's my hand. I think you can see it. It's just above my shoulder. It's like this high. Okay. So I've got my hand on the arm. Take your outside arm, put your hand on the inside ribs. It's just going to be a gentle guide forward. You're not going to twist, pull, push, rip anything, just gently guiding those inside ribs to face in front of you. You are parallel to the wall. And then with about 15% of your energy, gently press the hand on the wall. The hand that's on the wall, press it into the wall very gently. See if you can lift the front of your hips, reaching the backs of your ears off of your shoulders. One more exhale. And turn towards the wall. You're going to release that arm down. I'm going to shift over here so that you can see. I'm going to stand again about a foot away from the wall. I'm going to take my hand up the wall. I'm going to walk my fingers up the wall until I'm really standing on that inside foot. And now I want to release the shoulder down and my armpit starts to lean in closer. This leg is kind of light. It's not like firmly planting down anymore as I tear this off the wall. I'm going to try to, you can even take your hand to this inside shoulder and soften it. So I'm lengthening all the way along here. Exhale. Come on up. Oh, release your arm. Feel taller on this side. And do the other side. So have your hand just above your shoulder. You're going to stand about a foot away from the wall, trying to stand on 2 feet while we have the arm in this way. Take your outside arm, just gently, gently, gently guide the ribs forward. Gently, 15% energy, pressing your palm at the wall. Just enough to leave a really light handprint with some paint. Lift the fronts of your hips just to be sure that we're standing with an engaged core, engaged spine. One more exhale. And then turn back to the wall so you can easily release that arm. You're going to stay about a foot away from the wall. I'm going to walk my fingertips up here. I'm going to lean into the wall, relax my shoulder down, relax my hips up towards it. Try to lift the fronts of my hips so I'm not completely falling into things. This foot is less weight on the floor. It's just kind of hanging out down there. Keep thinking of softening this inner shoulder. Maybe take your hand there to soften it. Exhale. And lift yourself away from the wall. Drop your arm down. Just go ahead and swing your arms front and back a few more times. And then we're going to come into wide legs again. If you have a block, or if you want to go near your couch when we get towards half moon, we're going to do half moon after a little bit of side angle work. So if you have a block that you'd like to have in front of your space, or if you have like something that you want to put in front of your space on the tall setting, then that'll work out pretty well too. We're going to go wide legs, turning over towards the right, starting off in warrior 2. And then you're going to take your right hand behind your head, lift the elbow up, go ahead and relax this arm down, and try to rest your head back into your hand. Lift your heart up. And then feel a little bit more powerful in this as you release the head from the hand, reaching your fingertips up, peaceful warrior. Big breath in. Exhale, coming forward, elbow down. Start with the arm up and over to stretch out through your side body. Push into that back foot so you really get the outside of the hip as well. Then you're going to take this arm and reach it up from the shoulder, so it's going upwards, your shoulders going upwards. Reach from your heart into both arms. You feel strong along those shoulders. Exhale. And then start to stand yourself up. This might be where you make a shift so that you're going to be standing about a foot away from your couch or, speakers, whatever this that you're going to use to balance on. We're going to stand up on this right leg, toes facing towards wherever you're going to put your right hand. Lift the left leg up, make it really strong and straight, just like you did when you were raising the leg in the air on our backs. And then see if you can reach from your heart into both hands. And you don't even have to stay a really long time. Stack the shoulders if you can. And then forward fold, bend the knees, maybe even place elbows on thighs so you can relax your head. Relaxing all the way through the back that you were just working. And then coming on up. I know I'm going to warrior two on the other side, so if you need to adjust in your space or you need to move stuff or just flip around because maybe you are able to face me the whole time, that's all good. So we'll go warrior two, left side, bending into the left leg. Stack yourself up, and then from here, right arm down, left arm behind the head, and then the head leans back into the hand as the elbow releases skyward, and the heart releases skyward too, so we're not just falling back. You're going to release your hand upwards, offering your heart upwards. Big breath in. And then side angle, elbow down, up and over to start. Roll your bottom ribs forward to get a little bit more side stretch and push into that back foot. And then staying there, just changing the arm to reach up from your shoulder. Reach your heart into both arms, feeling that strength and openness in the chest and shoulders, ears away from shoulders. Draw the belly and start to stand yourself up, and then we'll shift to get a little bit closer towards either whatever, wherever you're going in your space to set yourself up for some success and good balance here. You can bend your standing leg too. I should have mentioned that on the first side because we haven't done a lot of hamstring stuff. So be kind to yourself. The lifted leg though, try to get that real strong. You should be able to feel your under butt working, your outer butt. Strong opening of the shoulders. Woo. Maybe one more breath in. And then bending things, coming down into a fold. Again, put elbows on knees if that feels better to you, relaxing your head down. One more exhale. Start to stand yourself up. And then put your hands into the back pockets of your imaginary high-waisted jeans. Feet are underneath your hip bones, toes face forward. Lean the hips forward slightly, then lift the inner thighs up, lift the fronts of your hips, and let your heart lift up and forward. Take your gaze as far up as is nice and comfy in your neck, not too far, not too crazy. You might feel more of the weight of your body in your toes than in your heels. Maybe I could slide a piece of paper underneath your heels. One more inhale. And then draw the belly, the hips back, heart stacks, release your arms, sway them back and forth another few times. And then I come down into a seat, into Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose. So come on down, feet together, knees out wide. Shifting on your hips side to side a few times. You need to manually adjust the flesh out of the way and then draw the body forward. Think soft back. Don't worry about how far you get forward. Soft, soft, soft back. That's going to serve us in our next fold, which you'll hopefully be a little bit more relaxed in the back and maybe you'll feel a little bit more benefit from. One more round of breath. And start to walk it back up. You're gonna take the legs in, extend them forward, bring them about like hip point apart, and then you're gonna start coming forward into a fold. If this is feeling tense in your back, I want you to bend your knees so that you can get a little bit closer towards those legs. Okay. Soft, relaxed back, relaxing the back side of your body. Find a good place to put your head on your spine. Two more breaths. And start to walk yourself back in. We're gonna move from here back onto our hands and knees. We're actually gonna do a little bit of dolphin work, and I want you to take breaks in dolphin so that you're not feeling like you have to do like all of the things at all of the times. So when we get down though, you're gonna take your spacing is gonna be elbows touching your fingertips touching your elbows, and then keeping that. Yeah, because it's a good spacing to align under your elbows. So you're gonna come down onto your elbows, fingertips touch your elbows, and then keep your elbows there as you extend your palms out in front of you. And then hands go directly forward, index fingers go forward, fingertips are spread out wide. You're gonna push down in your elbows so the back of your chest is open, and then get a little bit closer with your knees up to your elbows if you can. I find that a shorter stance is often much better in the body. The legs do not have to get straight, but you are gonna start to curl the toes, lift the knees up, coming into dolphin pose. Still push down into your elbows. Relax your head. It's fine if it doesn't touch the floor. It's fine if it does. If you need to take a break, take a little break if you want to stay here for 2 more breaths. If you go back up for just 1 breath. Strong at the back of the heart. And then taking the knees down. Maybe come off of your elbows for a moment. We're going to do that again. You're going to come down onto the elbows. You're going to take both hands to your elbows, and then a little bit different this time. You're going to keep your elbows there, but interlace your fingers right in front of you, creating a little basket. And then your bottom pinky, you know how it kind of has a little bit of pressure against the floor, fold that underneath so your 2 pinkies are right next to each other instead of smashing one of them. You're not going to put your head down on the floor. It's fine if it touches, but it probably won't. You're going to push down into the forearms, the back of the chest is open, and then lift the hips up again, coming into dolphin. So a little bit different alignment of the limbs. This can feel a lot more supportive, a lot more together in dolphin, but now hopefully you've been fired up to have enough strength to be here after doing it the hard way first. 1 more exhale. Then relaxing your knees down. We're going to untuck the toes this time. Sit back into child's pose. Arms go wherever it makes sense to you. You might even bring your hands in closer now because we've been doing all of that shoulder work already. One more breath out. And then start to lift up and make a transition onto your back. If there's things that you're going to want around for Shavasana, making sure that you've got those handy. Just going to come on down, feet on the floor, knees bent, wiggle and adjust what you need to, and start to allow your body to settle into the earth. You can take elbows and palms together without crossing if that feels better, but if you can cross your feather wings or eagle feathers up, you'll take right arm on top, palms together, reaching the elbows out towards your knees. Yeah. 1 more breath out. And then unwind your elbows and wrap up on the other side. Reaching the elbows out towards your knees. So kind of up and down, or up in the air and then down the body. You know, lift the foot in, put the foot down. One more exhale. And then release. This time, open your arms all the way out. Go ahead and flop them open, just in a way that feels good to you. And then notice what else is going. Like for me, if I wiggle my shoulder blades a little bit, that feels a little bit more balanced. I feel softer and more open. And then you're going to bring the feet hip width and the knees facing up. So you might have just a small shift to get there. You're going to take your right leg and cross it up on top of your left leg. So it's thigh on top of thigh. And then push down into your left foot. So you hop your hips over to the right side. And then as you drop your knees over towards the left, you might catch the foot. Yeah, so it's not quite as twisty, but you can go deeper over time if you start to have the space. You can look up, you can look to the left, you can look to the right, you can take a quick or a brief visit to all of those sides to see which seems to feel the most aligned with what your neck and your head and your body need at this moment. But do try to soften with your exhale. Let's take 2 more breaths wherever you land. And start to unwind the legs, come back to the center. You'll have to wiggle your hips a little bit and maybe your feet to find that balanced center space. And then it'll be your left leg that crosses over, thigh on top of thigh, push down in your right foot so the hips go to the left, and then you'll take the twist over towards the right, maybe catching with your foot so the twist isn't quite as deep. If you need to adjust your shoulders, adjust your shoulders. If you need to test out the head positioning, you have the space, maybe the need to do that. One more exhale. Then unwinding your legs, coming back to the center, getting your hips a little shift back to the center, and then start to extend your legs out and reach your arms back behind you. Take a big breath, getting nice and long, open on that front side. As you exhale, soften. Do that one more time, nice and long. Release with your exhale. And start to slide your arms down by your sides. Give a little snuggle of your shoulders underneath your back. And then you get to decide if you'd like to stay here for Shavasana, if you should bend your knees, put something underneath the knees, sit up instead, anything at all. Take your nice, slow, easy transition into a place where you should be resting for a few minutes. And we'll hang out there. Start to come back to your body. Taking some deeper breaths, tuning into the sensations that come up, the feelings, any changes that have taken place over this last hour together. And when you're ready, start to roll yourself over to one side, turning inwards for a moment of gratitude for spending this time being present, finding some contentment, perhaps a bit of joy in this time. And when you're ready, coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat, palms gathered at your heart. Sealing our practice, releasing an om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Have wonderful days. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you, April. Have a great week.
Bye, Linda. Thanks. You too. Hi, Judy. Bye, Ruth. Have a great trip, Marsha. We'll see you when you're back.